Clara sat quietly in the living room, the soft hum of the refrigerator the only sound keeping her company. The wall clock ticked toward midnight, its sound sharp in the silence. Jake was late again. The dinner she'd prepared had gone cold 2 hours ago. She didn't reheat it anymore. She didn't even bother asking where he was. It hadn't always been this way. There was a time when Jake's late arrivals meant surprise flowers or an impromptu dinner downtown. There was a time when she'd sit on the window ledge with a glass of wine, smiling to herself at the thought of him walking through the door, running late from work but full of stories. That time felt like someone else's life now. Their house was large, quiet, and cold in ways that had nothing to do with the weather. She remembered the first night they moved in, how excited they'd been, how they'd danced on the hardwood floors before the furniture arrived. They'd imagined children, imagined years of laughter echoing through the hallways. Now, the silence had weight. It pressed down on her shoulders every night, and Jake, once her partner in everything, felt like a ghost moving through her world. When the door finally opened, he walked in without a word, loosening his tie and tossing his coat on the chair. He didn't even glance at her. "Did you eat?" she asked, her voice low. "Yeah, with the team," he replied, not bothering to elaborate. She nodded and turned back toward the dim television screen, where muted scenes from a documentary played. He went upstairs without asking about her day. He didn't notice the new haircut or the missing picture frame on the hallway shelf, the one that had once held their wedding photo. Clara stared at the blank space where it used to be, wondering if he would ever notice. He didn't. The next morning, Jake left early, kissing her cheek absently like one might pat a dog on the head. His lips didn't linger, her skin didn't tingle. She poured her coffee in silence and scrolled through emails, her inbox full of work requests, PTA reminders, and one invitation to an art gallery opening. The sender's name stood out: Nathan Carter. Nathan was a curator she had met briefly at a community charity event a few months ago. They'd spoken for maybe 20 minutes, and she remembered being surprised at how easy it had been to laugh with him. He had kind eyes, the kind that looked like they really saw you. The gallery was local, not far from where she used to volunteer before the house and the isolation. She hesitated, fingers hovering over the RSVP. Finally, she clicked, yes. That Thursday evening, Clara stood in front of a large abstract painting, her wine glass half full, her mind far away. The art was vivid, alive. It made her feel things she couldn't name. Nathan appeared beside her with a warm smile, dressed in a casual blazer and jeans. "You came," he said simply. "I did. Do you like it?" "I think I forgot how to like anything," she said before she could stop herself. Nathan looked, really looked, and didn't ask her to explain. He just nodded. They talked for an hour, about everything and nothing: art, travel, childhood dreams. She told him about her first oil painting in college. He shared how he'd once been a poet before shifting to curating. He made her laugh, genuinely. Her cheeks hurt from smiling, a feeling she hadn't realized she missed. When she left that night, she felt a strange guilt, though nothing had happened. She hadn't touched him, hadn't given him her number, hadn't made any promises, but she had smiled. She had let someone see her again. And that, in some deep, buried place, felt like betrayal. Jake didn't ask where she had been. He was already asleep on the couch, his phone buzzing silently next to him. She glanced at it, an instinct now, not curiosity. A name flashed across the screen. Ava. Her heart skipped. The next morning, she asked without asking, "You've been working with a lot of new people lately?" Jake shrugged, sipping his coffee. "Yeah, the firm hired some new consultants. Why?" She shook her head. "Just wondering." Later that week, she found a receipt in his jacket pocket. An upscale restaurant in the city, dinner for 2, dated the night he claimed to be stuck in meetings. She didn't confront him. Not because she didn't care, but because she knew the answer. She could see it in the way he looked at her and didn't really see her. Clara started going to more galleries. Sometimes Nathan was there, sometimes he wasn't, but she always hoped he would be. One evening, they ended up walking through the city after an exhibit, laughing at bad graffiti and reminiscing about their worst dates. She felt 17 again, alive. And then he stopped and looked at her with an expression that made her breath catch. "I don't know what your story is," he said gently, "but I think you deserve better than whatever's making you look so sad." She opened her mouth but said nothing. He didn't press. He just nodded, like he understood. Then he offered to call her a cab. It was that moment, his restraint, not his interest, that broke her. The next morning, Clara asked Jake if they could talk. He was busy typing, but she waited. When he finally looked up, she said simply, "Is there someone else?" His face didn't change. That told her more than any denial would have. After a pause, he said, "It's complicated." "No," she replied, her voice even. "It's actually not. You just stopped choosing me." He looked away, suddenly ashamed. "I didn't mean for it to happen." But it did. She didn't cry. She had done that already, quietly, at night when he came home late, and she smelled someone else's perfume on his coat. What she felt now wasn't grief. It was release. Jake asked if she wanted him to end it, to fix things. She looked at him for a long moment. "I wanted you to want to fix it before I had to ask," she said. "But you didn't. And now, I don't know if I want to anymore." That night, she slept in the guest room. He didn't follow. Weeks passed. Jake moved out temporarily for space, though both knew it wasn't temporary. Clara didn't. Call Nathan. She didn't rush into anything. She needed to find herself first, who she had been before the silence, before the neglect. She went back to painting. She started teaching part-time at the local community center. She began to fill her life with things that were hers. One afternoon, as she was leaving a workshop, she saw Nathan outside, sipping coffee and reading. He looked up, surprised and pleased. "Hey," he said, standing. She smiled. "Hey." They walked together for a while. No destination, just shared steps and open sky. Eventually, he asked, "Are you okay?" She nodded. "Getting there." He smiled. "I'm glad." This time, when he offered to walk her home, she said yes. It wasn't the beginning of a new love story. Not yet. But it was the continuation of Clara's own, and for the first time in a long time, that was more than enough.